to increase the pressure, Celtic have obviously put in an appeal this afternoon, Des, and confirmed that they're appealing against the red card. So talk us through it. What's your view?
Okay, so my view is it shouldn't have been a red card. My view is a yellow card.
Interesting.
Okay, so there's a couple of criteria that falls into play, and we'll come to the VAR intervention in a minute. So when you're looking at denying an obvious goal score opportunity, you've got to look at criteria that's set there from it. So the first one is distance to goal. Okay, so if you look at the Dundee Hearts one the other week there, it was just outside the penalty area where the Dundee boy had an opportunity to play it. So this was, 25 to 30 yards out, sort of around there. So 18-yard box, you're another 10 yards, so about 28 yards, call it. Where's his general direction of play? The general direction of play is going away from the goal. He's not going towards the goal. What's the likelihood of control? So I know he's played the ball and it's again about 10, 12 yards ahead of him. That's not saying that he's going to get it, but it's not saying that he's not going to get it. But also the number and the position of defenders who are coming around. I think that Stephen McLean called it correct at the time. And I just see a comment that says last man red card. There's no such thing as a last man. It's denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. And the bit that I take my belief on it is the second word, obvious. Is it an obvious goal scoring opportunity? It's not obvious. He may have a chance. He may not. But it's not obvious. When you look at the Hearts player last week, the goalkeeper brings the Dundee defender down, 18 yards from goal. A defender moving to the goal line who can't use his arm. That's an obvious opportunity. This isn't an obvious opportunity. And what I think is entirely wrong with it is that John Beaton's decided to get involved and basically re-referee that situation and overturn Stephen McLean, who it's a subjective opinion there. A subjective opinion. Stephen's seen it. He's made the decision that it's a yellow card, which, as I say, I'm fine with. But John Beaton's get involved there to overturn it. That's not what VAR's there for. VAR's there for clear and obvious. That isn't obvious. It's not an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. It's not an obvious error. It's not clear. The fact that we're still talking about it 24 hours later, that shows you that it's not clear and obvious. I think John Beaton had no reason to get involved in that decision there.
But we've been on this show, Des, saying that we've got the technology. We need to use it. It's there as a safety net.
Yes.
What's wrong with John Beaton saying, Stevie, I think you want to take a look at that again? Isn't that the whole point of having VAR? Have another look at somebody else. And then it's up to Stephen. He doesn't need to be persuaded. He doesn't need to take John Beaton's guidance on it. He makes his own decision. But I'm in favour of being called to the screen to take a second look at something if the guy in VAR thinks it's merited. I thought that was the whole point.
I don't know if I don't. But Keith, they've got the communication set in their ears, so they're obviously talking when they're going through it. I would much prefer Stevie McLean. I think we'd have got a lot more kudos and credit from it if Stephen came across and went, do you know what? I'm quite happy with my initial decision when you take into the parameters that you have to consider for that. I just put it this way: if I was getting called across, I know what I would be saying. Thanks very much for your opinion, but I'll stick to my own. I just don't think it was clear and obvious an error, and I don't think it was an obvious goal scoring opportunity given where the ball was and where it was going.
Yes, did you say previously in your explanation that you were having to factor in how good of a player Kabore is? Would he get it under control? At what point did we factor in that? Were we giving top trump ratings or something?
No, I've never said that. I've never put any the skill factor. Listen, if it was me, I'd be like Messi. I'd be scoring every time. So don't worry about that. But
so you didn't say that. You didn't. No. You're not factoring in, is Kabore likely to get that ball under control with his first touch?
What I was saying was Kabore's played the ball 10, 12 yards ahead of him. I'm not saying about his ability to what his skill level is. I'm saying what is his opportunity to actually get there, and what is he going to do? Because bear in mind, you've still got Kasper Schmeichel who's in goal, It's not a defender. So I just don't think it was as I say, I'll reiterate it.
But there's always a goalkeeper. There's always a goalkeeper.
It wasn't in the Hearts Dundee game last week.
He's either going through, well, 9 times out of 10, there's a goalkeeper.
It's not always.
But if you've got a shot at goal, if you've got a shot at goal, the chance to shoot at goal, and you're past the last defender, that to me would have to be marked down as a clear and obvious goal scoring opportunity.
I don't think so. I don't think so in that situation. I think there was still far too much work to be done. Hey, listen, I might be wrong. I'll get shot down for it. But at that moment in time, I didn't think that was a clear and obvious opportunity. I still think there was a lot of work to be done for him to regain possession, to get the ball, the defenders who were covering, and the control that he had.
Des, I said that just before you came on, that my own personal opinion is Kabore probably would have taken a good enough first touch to then allow him to get a strike off. However, what I think's irrelevant. Because somebody else might think they would have bundled his first touch and it wasn't a clear. That was the point I was trying to make. That it doesn't matter what I think. Was it clear and obvious that he was going to have a strike at goal? To me, that is the only criteria where John Beaton is supposed to get involved. That's what I thought.
Yeah, and I think it was. I think Stephen McLean had made the right call at that moment in time.
Yeah.
We've got plenty of comments coming in, and if you want to get involved in the conversation at home, please do so. They're kind of a little bit split down the middle at the moment, it seems. Let me read a few of them out, and you can come back. Jungle Boy says, sorry, Keith, Scales is in motion. He's not standing still. He's getting there. McKenna says, 100%, Keith. If you watch, Scales is running in a straight line and not going to the player. Sean says, English ref saying VAR said it shouldn't have been a red. That was, I think it was Dermot Gallagher on Sky Sports today said that he wouldn't have given a red card. Chris says Des has still been held hostage. Why don't you guys pay that ransom for God's sakes? We've all got on that. Peter says player going towards the corner flag, another defender near the goal. Clearly someone has not played football, but it stands for the moment. I would appeal it definitely.
Hold on, look at that visual there. Right, the still. Where's Scales? He's about 15 yards behind Kabore.
He's a long
There's
way
no
off.
way he's catching him in a foot race. Just no way.
But that's an opinion, Keith.
Well, unless he's wearing a jetpack.
No. And the point I've been trying to make is I have said it all along. I personally think it was a goal-scoring opportunity. I think he would have got a shot at goal. I think the argument or the point is it doesn't matter.
Why is getting involved? Yeah.
I think that's the argument, as Des says, it needs to be clear and obvious. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. I think he'll take a good enough first touch and then be 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. Then it's up to him whether he scores it. But it is a clear, obvious goal-scoring opportunity for me. But it doesn't matter what I think. VAR's not supposed to get involved unless it's clear and obvious. And it's not clear and obvious. Everyone's arguing about it. So it's not clear and obvious. To me, anyway.
Just to finish those
I
comments.
think it's a different argument, Swanee, but I get you. I hear you.
Yeah.
Aye. Just to finish, that Des Rebel says Des hitting the nail on the head. Beaton's had 2 or 3 of these, too many wrongdoings. Well said, Des. Alan says, I'm a Rangers fan and that's not sending off. Too many mistakes from referees and VAR this season against all teams.